The phone from hell, but make it cute. You know those stories where people say, looking back, the signs were all there. Yeah, this was one of those. Only the signs weren't just there. They were flashing in neon with a dodgy strobe effect. Screaming run. You absolute mug. And I still walked in like a trusting toddler at a magic show. It started, as all spectacular disasters do, with a gift. My stepsister, let's call her Chloe, because of course that's her name, waltzed into the living room with all the subtlety of a pantomime villain and handed me a brand new phone, brand new still, in the plastic, sleek, expensive, probably cost more than my dignity. She said, and I quote, "Just thought you could use an upgrade, babe." An upgrade from the same girl who once accidentally took my debit card to the spa and came back with eyelash extensions and a flat white. She's not exactly the patron saint of generosity. More like the chaotic gremlin of passive-aggressive birthday texts. Naturally, I stared at the phone like it might explode, or worse, ring and force me into a conversation. No birthday, no celebration, no reason. Just pure, unprompted, completely out of character kindness. It was suspicious. Like when your cat brings you a dead bird and you're meant to be grateful. But also, should probably sleep with one eye open. But of course, I didn't say no. Because I was tired. Emotionally, spiritually, existentially. I'd had about 3 hours of sleep, 2 existential crises, and 1 lukewarm cup of coffee that morning. And I thought maybe, just maybe, the universe was finally giving me a win. Spoiler alert, it was not. Now, to be clear, I'm not one of those paranoid conspiracy nuts who thinks everyone's out to get them. I mean, most people can't even reply to a text. But this felt off. Like the opening scene of a Netflix docuseries where the upbeat music fades into ominous strings. Still, she smiled, all shiny teeth and fake innocence. And I smiled back because British politeness is stronger than self-preservation. "Let me help you set it up," she said sweetly. Which, looking back, is a bit like Dracula offering to install your blackout curtains. But again, I was exhausted and had given up on pretending I understood how the world worked. I let her take the lead while I sat there like a decorative houseplant, nodding occasionally, pretending I knew what a two-factor authenticator was. I watched her tap through the settings with a level of efficiency that was frankly suspicious. Chloe usually struggles to set a microwave timer, but here she was, blitzing through encryption menus like she'd done it 10 times before, which, frankly, should have tipped me off. But did I question it? No, I did not. I was too busy mentally ranking different flavors of crisps and wondering if I'd ever feel real joy again. By the end of it, I had a new phone, new passwords, and a false sense of security. Everything was transferred over seamlessly. According to Chloe, she handed it back to me like a priest offering a cursed relic, and I, poor naive sod that I am, thanked her. I even said, "You didn't have to do this." She smiled, and I swear I heard thunder. Suspiciously sweet and stupidly sleek. Now I'll be the first to admit, I'm not immune to shiny things. I once dated a man purely because his teeth sparkled under pub lighting. So when I unboxed that phone, sleek matte black curves in all the right places, I momentarily forgot that Chloe is about as trustworthy as a Tesco meal deal sushi. The phone was gorgeous, suspiciously so. Like a supermodel who flirts with your boyfriend, calls it friendly banter, and then follows you on Instagram just to watch your stories. It practically oozed ulterior motive. But also it had face recognition, 512 gigabyte storage, and a camera so good it made my under-eye bags look editorial. So naturally, I chose vanity over survival instinct. Classic me. And look, I know. If your morally questionable stepsister, the same one who once borrowed your makeup bag and came back looking like a Kardashian tribute act, gives you a device with more tech than NASA, maybe don't immediately sink your life to it. But I was tired, not just tired, but that specific brand of female exhaustion where even blinking feels like cardio and you're emotionally held together by oat milk and sarcasm. So I let her help me set it up. That, my friends, was mistake one. Or technically two, depending on whether you count accepting gifts from people with the emotional range of a wet sock as the first error. Either way, tragic choices were made. She sat beside me like some over-caffeinated tech fairy, all smiles, and manicured fingers tapping through the menus like she hadn't just reset my entire digital life with the enthusiasm of someone scrubbing a crime scene. Don't worry, she said, it'll do all the boring stuff. Yes, the boring stuff like privacy settings, cloud backups, and quietly siphoning my data into the digital void. Meanwhile, I was half asleep wrapped in a dressing gown that hadn't been washed since the last government scandal, sipping tea that tasted like despair and dust and nodding along like a contestant on a game show I didn't remember signing up for. Somewhere between agree to terms and restore from backup, I drifted off into a micro-existential spiral. What even was a backup? Was I backing up my phone or my regrets? Did I just allow her access to my entire life? Or did I hallucinate that bit between sips of lukewarm PG tips? I blinked and it was done. All my apps, my bank logins, my Face ID, everything synced, wrapped up in a device that looked too good to be true, and spoiler, it was. It sat there on the table glistening like a trophy for most gullible sister of the year, and I, stupidly pleased with myself, even posted a story. New phone, who dis, because yes, I am that tragic. And no, not one single follower warned me, useless lot. Meanwhile, Chloe smiled at me with the sort of smug satisfaction usually reserved for Bond villains and influencers who say just manifested babe while secretly living off their boyfriend's income. It should been obvious. The last time she smiled like that, I ended up grounded and accidentally subscribed to a gym I never set foot in, and yet there I was, oblivious, impressed, grateful even. Let me tell you something, if someone like Chloe does something out of the goodness of their heart, check your bank account and your locks and probably your Wi-Fi, because no one that pretty does anything for free. And me, I was just happy to have a phone that didn't overheat during Zoom calls, a phone that made me look airbrushed in real life, a phone I would soon regret trusting more than if ever trusted any man. Enter the stealth mode heist. You know how people always say technology is amazing. Yeah, well, so is a shark. Doesn't mean you want one living in your bathtub. Turns out, behind my new phone's serene wallpaper of sunsets and fake sibling affection, Chloe had installed what can only be described as Frankenstein-level spyware. And not the low-budget, glitchy type that freezes every time you open Instagram. No, this was the premium grade, black market, KGB meets Google sort of spyware, designed clearly by someone with too much time, unresolved childhood issues, and deep hatred for boundaries. It sensed everything, not just my contacts and cute cat photos. No, it hoovered up my texts, my banking app, my cloud, my passwords, my browser history, tragic, and possibly my last 3 rebirths. My entire digital existence, gift-wrapped and served up on a silver platter to my stepsister, who was now, essentially, the proud owner of both my data and my dignity. Honestly, impressive. Evil, yes. Morally bankrupt, obviously. But also kind of genius in a should probably be in jail kind of way. I had no clue, of course. I was too busy being delighted by the fact that my selfies looked like I'd slept 8 hours and drank actual water. I was out here editing my Instagram bio like I'd finally pulled my life together. Meanwhile, Chloe was rummaging through my bank statements like it was her personal online shopping wish list. And the worst part, I enabled it. I served it up to her like I was catering betrayal with a side of self-sabotage. I thanked her for the phone. I said things like, "You're actually being so nice lately, and I feel like we're really bonding again." If that's not the tragic prelude to emotional carnage, I don't know what is. The heist wasn't dramatic. No Mission Impossible cables or suspicious ski masks. It was quiet, sleek, digital, like a breakup via WhatsApp, cold, calculated, and depressingly efficient. 1 minute, everything's normal. I'm Googling whether expired hummus is a health risk. It is. The next, my bank app has logged me out. My email won't sync. And suddenly, there's a new device login that definitely isn't me. Unless I've recently taken up cybercrime in Portugal. I ignored the first warning sign. Thought it was just one of those annoying security updates that don't actually secure anything. By the second, I was vaguely annoyed. By the third, I was in full-blown denial, blaming Mercury retrograde or maybe a ghost. Because the alternative, that Chloe had launched a full-scale heist on my financial life from inside my living room, was too deranged to process on a Tuesday. The girl was literally living in the same house as me, eating my crisps, watching my Netflix, laughing at memes I sent her, all while digitally stripping my accounts down like some kind of petty tech goblin with a shopping addiction and a vendetta. And the cherry on top, she even had the gall to text me from across the hallway, using the very same spyware-infected phone she gave me, asking if I wanted to split Deliveroo. Split Deliveroo? You mean the meal you're probably paying for with my own bloody money? The betrayal was layered, like a cake. A dry, gluten-free, slightly moldy cake baked in Hell's Kitchen. And I was the idiot who sliced it, served it, and said, "Lovely," before choking on crumbs of regret. Honestly, I should have sensed it sooner. She'd been suspiciously cheerful for days, humming in the kitchen, making her bed, even offering to share the bathroom mirror. That's not normal. Not from Chloe. That's the behavior of someone, either high on success or plotting arson. Turns out it was theft. Digital theft. Identity theft. Personality theft, probably. Honestly, at this point, wouldn't be surprised if she started dressing like me and casually applying for mortgages in my name. And me, I just sat there on my bed holding my stupid, sleek little phone like it hadn't just robbed me blind with its perfectly curved edges and smug little notification chime. Pound for OK gone. The WTF just happened phase. Right, so you know that moment in life when you feel the universe has finally decided to back off for a bit. When the chaos cools down, just long enough for you to sip a lukewarm cup of tea and scroll memes in peace. Yeah, mine lasted 3.4 seconds. 1 minute I'm giggling at a video of a dog trying to eat peanut butter off a ceiling fan. The next, my phone buzzes and buzzes again. And then, just for fun, it buzzes a third time. That's when I open my banking app and see that my account is now emptier than my will to live. I stared at the screen like I'd accidentally opened someone else's financial tragedy. Surely I didn't authorize a transfer for £400,000, aka my entire life savings, retirement fund, house deposit, and emotional safety net, to what appears to be some offshore account with a name that sounds like it was made up by a toddler smashing the keyboard. £400,000 gone, just ... gone. No dramatic music, no slow motion breakdown. Just me, frozen in my dressing gown. Tea going cold. Bank balance flashing zeros like it's mocking me. I blinked, closed the app, reopened it, prayed it was a glitch, a bug, a cheeky prank by some bored intern at the bank. Spoiler, it was not. So, like any logical, mildly deranged adult in crisis, I called the bank, voice shaking, tea spilling, dignity already halfway down the drain. Me, hi, yes, I think I've been hacked. My entire account's just been wiped out. Bank, let me check for you, madam. Ah, yes, I see multiple transfers here, but they were all authorized by you. Authorized? By me. Oh, sure, love. Of course I authorized it. Because nothing screams self-care like sending your life savings to a teenage con artist with a Pinterest board full of daddy issues and a flair for digital larceny. I mean, it's not like I needed that money. Not at all. Just little things. You know, like not starving in a box under a bridge or not being financially ruined by someone who once got suspended for faking appendicitis to skip an exam. What really made me want to headbutt a cushion was the tone the bank used. That condescending. Well, obviously it's your fault, not vibe. Like I was the mastermind behind my own financial demise. As if I woke up one morning, looked in the mirror, and thought, you know what would be fun today? Complete economic collapse. They asked if I'd maybe shared my PIN with someone. I said, only my emotionally unstable stepsister, who handed me a pre-infected phone while I was emotionally constipated and slightly hungover. But other than that, no. They didn't laugh. I did. But it was that weird kind of laugh where your throat burns and your eyes start leaking, and you're not sure if you're crying or finally evolving into a villain origin story. I hung up after they told me there was nothing they could do, unless I had proof it wasn't me. Brilliant. Because I always film myself not making illegal transfers. Doesn't everyone? And as I sat there, broke, betrayed, and now officially in the emergency pot noodle phase of life, I realized something truly poetic. I'd spent my entire existence being cautious, careful, always saving, always planning, always the one who never impulse bought trainers or went to Magaluf or dated men with chin tattoos, and now pound for 100,000 gone. Not on yachts or spa days or thrilling poor choices, but stolen quietly by a girl who once cried over a cracked nail and weaponized femininity like it was a career path. I wasn't even angry yet, just stunned. Like, okay, this is my villain origin story. This is how I get arrested at a Tesco for throwing beans. This is my moment. And yes, before you ask, I did Google can you sue your stepsister for soul theft? Answer, and clear. But what was clear? I was officially broke, humiliated, and emotionally held together by Wi-Fi and dry shampoo. And Chloe, she was still in the house, probably upstairs, plotting the next move while humming along too. Dua Lipa like she hadn't just nuked my future. Honestly, the audacity. The criminal levels of calm she maintained while I spiraled into the seventh circle of financial hell. And I still had no idea how she pulled it off, just that she did. And I'd let her. Because apparently, I'm the kind of girl who falls for phone scams disguised as sisterly love and thanks. Red flags are just vibrant personality traits. Emotional breakdown, but make it sarcastic. So there I was, sitting on the kitchen floor, clutching a pot noodle like it was holy scripture. Tears sliding down my cheeks in slow motion. The kind of crying you only see in Oscar bait films or shampoo adverts for the clinically unstable. I'd gone full cliche. Ugly crying, pacing, laughing while crying, crying while laughing, dramatically staring out the window, like some haunted Victorian widow who's just found out the war. Claimed her fiancé and her favorite boots. And what sent me into this glamorous spiral of emotional shrapnel, pound for 100,000, vanished. Like my will to live, my trust in people, and my dream of one day owning a kitchen with matching cutlery. I mean, what's even the point? Why bother saving money? Why be the responsible one? Why not just blow it all on artisanal candles, vintage tarot decks, or a really nice nervous breakdown in Bali? Because in the end, I didn't spend my life savings on anything remotely satisfying. No luxurious holiday. No spontaneous yacht phase. Not even a midlife crisis convertible. No, I gave it. Gift wrapped in naivety and delusion. To the human embodiment of a canceled reality show. And the kicker, she probably thinks she earned it. Like this is some kind of girl boss heist and not straight up family fraud. Honestly, I should have just spent it on wine and therapy. Or just wine. Possibly purchased in bulk. Stacked floor to ceiling like a doomsday bunker, but for emotional damage? Because let's be real. Pound for OK down and I'm still eating noodles that taste like broken dreams and MSD. That's not rock bottom. It's underground parking for rock bottom. And the internal monologue. Oh, it was spectacularly unhelpful. You should have known. You always do this. Remember when you lent her your laptop and she downloaded malware disguised as a free astrology reading? That was a red flag, love. I spiraled harder than my 2014 fringe. I questioned everything, my judgment, my trust issues, or rather, my distinct lack of them, and every decision I've made since 2002, including but not limited to befriending Chloe, choosing finance over creative writing, and not investing in a bunker in the Scottish Highlands, and through the tears, the snot, and the slightly overcooked noodles. I had a revelation. Maybe the real scam wasn't the money. Maybe it was this relentless need to be good, to be the reasonable one, the saver, the fixer, the fool who believed that if I just tried hard enough, other people would stop being garbage fires in designer trainers. Plot twist, they don't. I should have known something was wrong the second. Chloe smiled at me like we were in a John Lewis Christmas advert instead of a dysfunctional remake of Succession, the budget edition. But no, I believed in redemption arcs, in family, in the myth that people change if you love them enough and offer them half your crisps. Turns out, all that gets you is broken, and sobbing on a linoleum floor that hasn't been properly cleaned since the Tories got back in. And you'd think she'd apologize, right? Or at least look a bit guilty. Wrong. She walked in, took one look at my tear-stained face and the empty noodle cup in my lap, and went, "You all right?" No, Chloe, I'm not all right. I'm financially and emotionally bankrupt and considering a rebrand as a bitter ghost who haunts direct debit offices. But of course, I didn't say that. I just sniffled, wiped my face with the sleeve of my own betrayal, and said, fine. Because when you've been annihilated by your own blood relative and your bank balance is a joke only Satan finds funny. What else is there to say? The clue that changed everything. Right, so picture this. I'm still curled up on my said little sofa, clutching what remains of my dignity, and a crust of cold pizza. When something miraculous happens, or, well, something ridiculous enough to count as miraculous in this comedy of errors, Chloe, the mastermind behind the great pound for 100,000 vanishing act, got cocky. Like proper cocky. She left behind a digital breadcrumb. So obvious it might as well have been glowing neon with flashing arrows pointing straight to her. I'm talking about a text, a dodgy login attempt. Something so dumb it could have been a warning from the universe. Or maybe just her being careless because she thought I was too shattered to notice. Spoiler, I wasn't. Now imagine me, a woman who's been emotionally bankrupt for a week, suddenly fueled by a toxic cocktail of rage, stale pizza, and approximately zero patience for any form of human incompetence. This was not going to be the quiet fade to black I'd envisioned. No, I was about to go full Liam Neeson with a grudge and a laptop. Because here's the thing. When life hands you betrayal and wipes your bank account cleaner than your kitchen floor, which, let's be honest, is not saying much. You have two options. 1, you curl up and become a cautionary tale for your cat. Or 2, you become a one-woman storm of revenge that even Bond villains would find intimidating. I chose option 2, obviously. That dodgy login was my clue. My smoking gun. My also obvious digital footprint of idiocy. I was going to follow it like a bloodhound sniffing at a particularly pungent traitor. And let me tell you, hunting Chloe down in the digital wilderness of her own making was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. If the needle kept changing its IP address every 5 minutes and the haystack was full of dodgy Wi-Fi signals and dead batteries, every suspicious notification was like a slap in the face. Every unknown device login made me mutter, Oh no, you didn't. Every creepy permission request felt like she was laughing at me somewhere upstairs, probably using my stolen money to buy organic avocados or some nonsense. And me, I was this emotional mess, flinging sarcastic one-liners at my laptop like, "You better watch out, love, because I'm about to turn into the digital version of a wrecking ball." Somewhere between trawling through logs and Googling how to hack my own phone to catch a criminal stepsister, I had a moment of clarity. A weird, almost hopeful thought that maybe, just maybe, I could reclaim what was mine, or at least make her wish she'd never met me. Sure, I was bitter. Sure, I was a mess. But I was also dangerous, because nothing motivates a person like betrayal and cold pizza. And suddenly I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the hunter, the sleuth, the woman who turned her heartbreak into a full-scale operation. And that's when things started to get really interesting. The kind of interesting where you find yourself laughing in disbelief, because you can't tell if you're winning or just sinking deeper into madness. But one thing was crystal clear. Chloe's little game was about to get a lot less fun for her. Because if she thought she could steal from me, keep living rent-free in my house, and get away with it, she hadn't reckoned with the fact that I'm not just a broken heart and an empty bank account. I'm a storm waiting to happen, a tea kettle on full boil, and, most importantly, a woman who has just discovered the power of digital receipts, legal mayhem, and public humiliation. So here's the thing about fraud. Turns out, it's a bit of a downer on your uni application. Who knew? Apparently, when you're trying to convince Oxford you're the next big thing, having a criminal record for nicking your stepsister's life savings isn't exactly the CV booster you were hoping for. Chloe learned this the hard way. She was charged. Of course, because, newsflash, stealing for £100 K isn't exactly something you can explain away with. I was just having a moment. Honestly, the court didn't buy it, and neither did the judge's eyebrows, which raised higher than my hopes for a normal family Christmas. Her sentence, community service, which, if you think about it, is the universe's polite way of saying, go fix other people's mistakes for a bit and try not to mess up more lives. Honestly, a fitting punishment. If only because it probably gave her enough time to reflect on her life choices while scrubbing graffiti off public benches. As for her social life, declared legally deceased. Suddenly, the girl who was the life of the party became the cautionary tale everyone whispered about at social gatherings like the plague, but with more shame and fewer hand sanitizers. TikTok followers evaporated faster than my patience during the whole ordeal. Apparently, being an online influencer doesn't come with immunity from consequences. Who knew the internet wasn't just a magical land where bad decisions get applause? And me? Well, I got most of my money back, thanks to the bank's fancy fraud recovery team, who must be the unsung heroes of the financial world. Honestly, if I ever meet them, I'll probably cry a bit and then ask for their autograph. Oh, and as the cherry on top, the bank threw in a therapy voucher. Because nothing says we're sorry your life's been ripped apart, like a voucher to sit on a couch and talk about feelings while they figure out how not to let this happen again. I mean, bless their hearts. If only they'd included a voucher for a margarita or a week in the Bahamas. That would have been much more my style. Through all the legal chaos and public humiliation, I learned something valuable. Sometimes life's biggest messes come with the tiniest silver linings, and sometimes those silver linings are wrapped in sarcasm and a very dark sense of humor. Because if you can't laugh at the fact that your own stepsister's criminal antics have become a full-blown saga worthy of a Netflix drama, then what's the point? In the end, justice was served. My money was mostly back where it belonged. And Chloe, well, let's just say, her reputation took a nosedive. So spectacular it'd make Icarus look like an amateur. So here I am, scarred but surviving, armed with a therapy voucher and enough sarcasm to fuel a small country. And honestly, That's more than I could have hoped for. Epilogue. Still mentally unwell, but richer. So here we are. The grand finale. The moral of this tragicomic saga. The piece de resistance in the theater of emotional disaster that is my life. Moral of the story. Trust no one. Especially not the girl, who once fake cried her way out of pay class and apparently upgraded her talents to full-blown financial heist specialist. Honestly, if there was an Olympic event for emotional manipulation, she'd have more gold than Mo Farah. Keep your old phone. Seriously, that ancient, cracked relic you swore you'd toss, keep it. Because shiny new gadgets gifted by suspiciously sweet relatives, yeah, they come with more baggage than a reality TV star. Hide your passwords like you're guarding the crown jewels. Change them more often than you change your socks, and maybe, just maybe, don't let your stepsister help. You set anything up while you're emotionally bankrupt and half asleep. Lesson learned the hard way, naturally. And here's the kicker. Invest in emotional damage insurance. Not a thing. Well, it should be. Because the kind of trauma that comes from having your entire financial future swiped by someone who calls you family is exactly the sort that no amount of therapy or wine can fully fix. But hey, it's a start. Am I traumatized? Absolutely. Would I recommend this experience as a bonding activity? Only if you hate your sanity. But at least I'm traumatized with a savings account, one that I fought tooth and nail to claw back from the depths of betrayal and bad life choices. And I've got a killer story to tell. One for the ages. A cautionary tale wrapped in sarcasm and wrapped again in sheer disbelief that this actually happened to me. The story I'll tell every time someone asks, "How's your year been?" And watch their faces contort between sympathy and awkward laughter. Because let's face it, if life insists on serving you lemons, you might as well make a gin and tonic out of the whole mess and toast to survival. So here's to me, still mentally and well, perpetually bewildered by the cruelty of family dynamics, but richer financially, if not emotionally, and with enough dry humor and witty inner monologues to last a lifetime. In the end, the only thing you can really do is laugh. Because if you don't, well, you might just cry. And honestly, that's just less fun.